I think what you're trying to ask is why am I so insistent upon giving out to them that blackness, that black power, that black pushing them to identify with black culture. I think that's what you're asking. I have no choice over it. In the first place, to me, we are the most beautiful creatures in the whole world, black people. I mean that in every sense, outside and inside. And to me, we have a culture that is surpassed by no other civilization, but we don't know anything about it. So again, I think I've said this before in the same interview, I think at some time before, my job is to somehow make them curious enough or persuade them by hook or crook to get more aware of themselves.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to a brand new Town Hall Being Black. Today, we are going to be talking about critical race theory, Lori Lightfoot, why people are coming at her, and also the important question, our main topic. Would you take the $100 billion or would you end racism? What I'm going to do is, since that's our last part, I'm going to go ahead and ask you guys first, take a poll now. And then once we get to the end, I'm going to re-ask the question. So I'm going to go ahead and ask it now. But before I do that, go ahead. If you put a 1, if you would take the $100 billion, put a 2 if you would end racism. And we're going to go ahead and play this clip, and then we'll talk about it towards the end of the show.
These are the fates. Okay. They say, hey, look, you got 2 choices.
Gosh.
We're going to give you $100 billion. You go live your life, do whatever you want with it, or we can end racism forever. Would you take $100 billion or the end of racism forever?
Okay, so here's my thing. If I end racism, what does that entail? Does that mean no? But see, there's certain levels to this, right? Does it end racism in the sense that people no longer judge you by the color of your skin? People don't see that, like everybody's on the same playing field? Or does that mean that because we're now on the same playing field and racism ends racism, did racism never exist? Does that mean that there is no wealth gap?
No.
Does that mean
it's not that racism never existed?
Okay.
It's just that going forward,
racism's done. Does that mean we get reparations?
You're asking a lot of questions.
Racism is done, but that's how I think. Racism is done.
You don't get the reparations. You don't get the reparations. It's just from now forward.
How am I supposed to trust this? Knowing what we've been through as a people, how am I supposed to trust that racism is done?
This is the fates. It's good. You got to
go. Okay, so it's written. Okay.
Would you have? I
didn't racism. I didn't racism.
You'd end racism.
I didn't racism.
$100 billion or to end the racism.
Yep, because I'm thinking about the future and I'm thinking about the kids that I want to have that will live in a world and have advantages that we didn't. I would end racism.
Okay, so here's the deal. I would end racism too, but goddamn, these niggas wouldn't be able to tell me nothing.
Nothing.
You better not.
Or you could take the money and do something with it.
You could take the money, but that's not as big of it. The people will always say, people say I would take it. I tell you what, it would almost be better for people if I took the money. Because if I pass up $100 billion to end racism,
but how are you going to be?
Remind everybody for the rest of time about that. I'm gonna remind it would feel good. I would feel good that I ended racism, but at the same time.
So you take the credit for it too. Like you would be like, yeah, I did that. But by you reminding people that you ended racism, then you have to make people think about racism.
No.
It just doesn't, like, logically, that just doesn't, I don't see how it works. So you know what? I'm gonna take the money. I'm gonna take the money because I can't see it. It logically doesn't make sense to me. I know the fates could change it, but it would have to be erased from ever existing for me to be able to. So I'll take the money and I will put it into things that help the community.
Right.
I'm rich, bitch. I'm out.
So that was from the Higher Learning podcast with Van Latham and Rachel Lindsay. They have a podcast, a weekly podcast. It's on Spotify. You can also find it on the internet as well too, on YouTube. Like I said, go ahead and answer the question now, and then towards the end of the show, we are going to revisit that. But before we get into that, I want to go ahead and invite my guest on. Shout out to the Goddess Raven show. Coming back to the show. I don't know how many times she's been on the show, but at least it's been like 3 times. But welcome back to the show, Goddess Raven.
Hey. Hello. This is a really
How you doing?
I'm good. I was listening backstage, like this is such a deep topic. Like it's hard to figure out $100 billion or end racism. But then I thought about it. She made some good points, but he made good points too.
Right. And I see people in the comments, everybody has mixed views on it, you know? And like I said, I wanted to kind of play that so people know the basis of what we're talking about, and then we're going to revisit that. But first, we are going to start out with Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot. Now, yesterday, I had sent this to you. I think it was not yesterday, the night before I had sent it to you. She was getting some backlash because basically she said she would now, originally the way they made it seem is like she would not talk to the press, but she would do a press conference, but the one-on-one interviews, she is saving that specifically for people of color. Now, don't be talking about her hair, y'all, because y'all always got something to say about her. Leave that woman alone.
When you put that picture up, all I had to say was exactly what brown-skinned lady said, 81. Yikes. You can't help it. She got a face, I tell you. She got a face and a hairline. But we're going to talk about, Jesus, help me. Okay, I'm going to be positive. But I don't blame her. Because for so long, the media, first of all, Black media, it's hard for Black people to get into position where you could actually interview people of power. For so long, it's just been the, certain stations, and that's it, that had access. So I can understand where she's going with that. And then the media tends to portray her as this sympathizer and, liberal, and she's just letting the whole, state go to hell and all this and that and other. She's really been getting a lot of backlash. So I don't understand. I completely understand.
Chicago is the inner city, and it had problems before she got there. Let's be honest.
But they want to put it all on her, like she's been like the whole contributed factor on why everything went down there, and it's not fair.
Right. And I just wanted to also add on to that. She said the reason for this is because of the city hall press corps is mostly white, even though the city is 45% white and the rest is people of color. So she's like, those people aren't represented. Some of her critics said this is her way of avoiding questions regarding the city crime, gun violence, education, financial crisis, and stuff like that. But here's my thing, because they're saying she wants to avoid criticism. But the thing is, you don't think that Black people or other people of color can ask those same questions and challenge her? Are you trying to allude to that people of color don't ask pressing questions and stuff like that? Or also, are you trying to hide the fact that you don't have any Black representation in your press corps or people of color in your press corps? So that's the real issue, But
they will always want to skirt the real issue of diversity and the lack of diversity. They'll always want to skirt that whole issue of the lack of diversity and put it on to, it's something else. It's something else. Chi-Town. My best friend's from Chi-Town, so shout out to you, 50 Shades. So yeah, really, they will always want to skirt the diversity issue. It's really about diversity and her giving a chance to people who don't get those opportunities to get interviews with politicians, with the mayors. They need to do that all around.
Right,
That needs to be an all
exactly.
around thing.
Yeah, it's an
Make it
all around
diverse,
thing.
and then it won't have to be an issue of I need to make a special accommodations for my people of my color to get those chances. Why is it always like this that we still try to do first? The first black person to do this, the first person, the black person to do that, or we have to make sure that we give accommodations so we can get those opportunities. It's a shame that we're still like this at this point.
Right. Brown skinned lady said now she can't. I can't say that she doesn't. For me to be honest, I do know a little bit about Chicago. But I can't say that all like I said, going back to what I was saying, all the issues are definitely not on her. No. But has she been as progressive as she needs to? No, because that police department, there's something wrong. Well, majority, but
Something
there's something
fishy.
wrong with that police department there, because remember I forgot what his name was, but he was like a big black dude, and
I know
he
what you're
was
talking
really
about.
hell bent on getting Jussie Smollett for lying and stuff like that, and then he had to step down, and I forgot his name, but he had to step down, and it was something like he was found drunk in his car and all that stuff. You know what they
Shut
be
up.
doing, and I'm not bashing cops or anything like that. Don't
Mm-mm.
start that. I'm not doing that. But something was wrong with Carl Winslow from Family Matters. That dude, whatever his name.
I can't with you. I can't with you. I really can't.
But yeah, like I said, Mary said, "Love Chicago, but I don't want to walk the streets alone when I visit." Oh,
You
trust me,
fine in
I'm winning.
Chicago. You fine in Chicago. As long as you stay in certain parts, you's fine. You'll be fine. Just don't go
Yeah,
in other parts.
right.
But that's a fact for every city and every state is like that. A lot of places is like that. Yeah.
Right, it's the inner city.
Mhm.
Hopefully Danielle Robinson will come, because she's actually in Chicago. So hopefully she'll come later, and then we'll get to ask her more about that. But I just wanted to talk about that because they try to make it seem like she's racist without that whole. And this goes into the critical race theory, which is the next thing. But she's racist because she's not letting white people be able to get one-on-one interviews with her, and that's not what it is. I think it's a whole bunch of gaslighting and stuff like
But
that.
what do you think? What's your inner thought and what's your opinion on that? What do you think?
What's my opinion? Oh no, I
Yeah.
agree with her. I'm sorry if I didn't say that. I
Yeah.
definitely agree with her. I think it's right that she did take that stand. I was just thinking about the White House press corps and stuff like
Mhm.
that. The only black person that I know in the whole White House press corps, and I don't even think she does it, is April Ryan. That's the only black person that I really know that be at the White House in the press corps. Everybody else is white. Now they do
That's
have
a
a lot of
shame.
women,
That's a
but,
shame that you could only
but
name
I don't see a
one.
lot of people of color. Like I can't name anyone but April Ryan. What about you?
None. None, because when I watch, I never see any. In the front row or the second row, I don't see them. I don't.
Right,
It's
right.
sad.
You don't really see them, Um, but this kind of moves on to the next thing, because there has been a lot of people saying, this woke mob or anti wokeness and stuff like that, and are against critical race theory. And I just wanted to say, critical race theory originated in 1970s from civil rights scholars and activists. It examines social, cultural, legal issues that relates to race and racism. That's what it is.
Okay.
Because the way that it's been portrayed in the media is that it tells white people that you're guilty for being white and you should feel bad for being white, and that's what it's about. And it's all like, wait, hold on, let's back up for a minute. And critical race theory is different from diversity training. I just wanted to separate that
Oh, yeah,
because
it is.
I
Big
know
time.
Trump had revoked diversity training for federal workers, and then Joe Biden came in and revoked that. So it's back up now. So I wanted to clarify that those are two different things. And critical race theory is currently only taught in college. It's not taught in schools. What it is that since, let's be honest, since the death of George Floyd, Black Lives Matter over the summer in 2020, it's been all like, hey, we need to have these conversations and we need to talk more about this. That's what it has been about mostly. And so what they done was adopted some of the teachings from the whole critical race theory. So it's not that they teach critical race theory. It's really what's the word where it's like up for interpretation? I forgot what word I'm thinking of. But I'll just say it's really up for interpretation, because what it is that anything talking about racial issues or racial injustice, they group in critical race theory, and it's not an actual thing. It's only taught it's only actually a subject in college that they teach. So what do you think about the war on critical race theory or the war on wokeness, Goddess?
There will always be a war on something. There will always be. That's why even if you end racism, there will be a way. There will be something else we'll find to pick on. We are just like that. So there's. I remember two people arguing, and the person said, "Oh well, I'm woke," and another person replied, "Well, woke is just a statement. You might not even be, you could be woke and not be knowledgeable."
Right.
And I was like, what?
Exactly. That's true about that. I think also I wanted to say that there has been some states that have already banned it or started a bill to propose it, so it's not taught in class. And here's the thing. This is the one from Idaho. But what it is that it doesn't exactly say you can't teach critical race theory, but it does say any teachings where it teaches one is inherently superior or inferior to another race, an individual should be discriminated against or receive adverse treatment because of the individual's race. And then another one says that that an individual moral character is determined by an individual's race. And so it's saying
That's
any teachings that teach that, they're banning that basically. And so my thing is like, well, if you don't teach this, then how are you going to teach history? That's my question.
Should you be surprised that our history has never really been taught? Diversity hasn't really been taught, and one race is not better than the other. We are all equal. We all cut the same. We all bleed the same. We all have the same internal organs. There's nothing different between the two, but it should be taught in school. I think that the reason why it's not is because then people will start looking at the political parties.
Right.
There has to be diversity. It has to be like separatism. It has to be like some war, controversy, something to keep us separated. Because if they taught that in school, then we want to be equal. Then we come together, and it'd be a lot more peace going on. Can't have that now.
Exactly. And a lot more understanding of things the way, for example, and I just thought about this last night too. When I was in 5th grade, there was a teacher that I had. His name was Mr. Hamid. And he would tell us, like, and this was when I was going to elementary school in Oakland. And he was telling us, like, hey, you guys need to make sure your scores. You know how every month you take not every month, but every school year you take like this test. It's not SATs. It's not that. But every school year, at least in California, you take this test. And it's like a standardized testing. I forgot what the actual name is, but it's a standardized test that everybody takes every year, no matter what grade you are. And it's appropriate to your grade and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But, basically a lot of the funding and the way the schools get funding and money, what schools are going to shut down is by these
Based
scores.
on these scores, yeah.
Yeah. So if the scores are high, then they know that's a good school and they'll keep it open and they give it funding. If the scores are low, then they won't give it the proper funding. But the thing is, those schools that are typically lower are in the inner cities, are in underdeveloped areas, are where, already doesn't get the funding that's appropriate. Like my elementary school that I went to in Oakland is shut down. It's no longer there. It's now an adult school or something like that. So we have to be honest. I remember, when I was in Oakland, the textbooks weren't all together. Some of them were messed up. They were old, out of date. Like it was still like that back in the 90s. When I went to a predominantly white school in the suburbs in Tracy, it was a lot better. Where, there was textbook. The school wasn't all old and beat up. Now they did in Tracy, they did have an old beat up school, but it still looked better than the schools in the hood. It was certain things where, I realized like, why is it like this? Nobody in school teaches you about redlining. Why there's black people
about
in the ghettos.
redlining. Okay.
Right. Why there's black people in the ghettos and why they're not in Beverly Hills and stuff like that. I just found out this year that the guy who built the Beverly Hotel is actually black, the one that constructed it. He wasn't even allowed to stay there. Just so many things, because I know where I am in California, I didn't even think about this until like a couple of years ago, where this girl, she was from Arkansas. She was all like, dang, you guys have like black cities, white cities. Like she was like, it's not like this where I am. And I was like, what do you mean? I was all like, you from Arkansas, shit. I know you know about some racism. But she was like, no, it's not like these are black cities, these are white cities. Like you guys actually have this where Oakland, it would be considered a black city. Those kind of things and stuff like that. LA would be considered a minority, I should say minority in general and stuff like that. And then you have areas like San Ramon, which is more affluent, which would be a white city, or San Francisco. A lot of people think San Francisco is very diverse. It's not that diverse.
It was standardized testing.
Huh?
Standardized testing.
Standardized testing. Thank you. Okay, I thought I had it. Yeah. And you put it in the chat too. Thank you.
Yeah, so they can know it. Yeah. Your schooling is different than mine because I'm Caribbean. So I went to actually a Caribbean elementary school. So they taught you Black history. They taught you mathematics. They taught you history and everything. But they also started to prepare you from elementary for the future. So then there was other schools to go to after that was Caribbean based. But it was like that we all knew in the community which schools to attend to get the better education. So I went to Erasmus and they taught you typing. They taught you accounting. They taught you cooking. They taught you about business. They taught you about economics in school. So
right. Okay, so it taught you a lot then.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Everything. They taught you those skills so when you left school, you had some kind of skills. And they had dancing, choreography, everything in Erasmus High School. It was a big school. And it was a lot of Caribbean people attended that school, and people in Brooklyn attended that school, and it was very good as far as education. And then most of the schools I went to was private. So the education I got was kind of a little bit different. Then I went to a public school in New Jersey at one point, and it was mostly white. And you could count the number of people that were Black. And all of us who were Black knew each other. We all knew each other. It was like only 10 of us. We knew each other.
When I moved, like I said, when I moved to the suburbs, you literally, and every Black person does this. You count how many Black people are in the room. Like every Black person does this, just to let everybody know out there. Every Black person, we go like,
we do.
Oh, how many Black people are in the room, and we secretly count. We don't like point and count, but we secretly count.
In our head we count like, okay, at least it's a few of us. Okay, I feel better now.
Right. And going back to what Russell Shade was saying, that is true where, the woke culture it started underground from conscious people, and now mainstream media has took it and completely just shit all over it. And it's all like, yo, like I don't even say this been like 3 years ago. I don't even say, oh, I'm woke or nothing like that. I don't say it at all because the meaning anytime something go mainstream, it's like, don't, you
So
know.
wasn't that purposely done?
I
It
think
was
it was purposely
underground
done.
in the Black community as a way to recognize it that person was educated and knowledgeable, and they took it and it got to the media and it got to everybody else, and it was what, diluted, broken down,
Diluted, yes.
destroyed. So now we cannot use that word to signify that we are knowledgeable.
Let me read this comment. 50 Shades. Honestly, though, people I talk to are afraid of Chi-Town. It honestly breaks my heart. There are great people there and everywhere in each state. 50 Shades of Bish, I want to let you come on later because I'll give you an example. I guess Chicago hasn't caught up to it, but I know where you are, Goddess, it has. But Oakland is gentrified now. When I go back to my hometown, it is like a whole new world. It is gentrified, and I guess in
Wow.
Chicago they starting to gentrify it, but it hasn't. And for those of you who need to know what gentrification is, basically when they do a whole remodel around the neighborhood and stuff like that. They fix it up, then people with money come into that neighborhood. The taxes go up for those poor people who have already lived there, and then
Until they push them out.
they no longer can afford to live there, and then they move more rich people in, and then and then they move all the colored people out of it. So that's gentrification in a small term way, but we can go deeper into that for another town hall. But I wanted to ask because the states that have opposed it or started bills, Idaho, Utah, Texas, Rhode Island has not been approved yet, but the bill has started. Arizona, Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama. What do you think about those states that have already started like this whole, oh, we need to ban critical race theory? Because it's almost all like, well, how do you have a conversation about American history without talking about this, you know?
You know what states are doing this, right?
Right, the red states, yeah.
Red states. And red states is the grand old, here's the key word, not new, not something that is, revived, but old party. So old school way of thinking, old way of doing things, where things were repressed. So of course they don't want the change. They want it to stay the grand old party. They want to stay at the old school way. So
Right.
teaching diversity, teaching all of about white people, y'all had certain breaks, and you didn't have to learn about redlining. You didn't have to learn about if you're in the army, you can't live a certain location. All that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want that taught, because if that's taught, then people's views will change.
Right, that's so true. And you know what? Because I wish I had more conversation. You got to remember, when my grandpa passed away, I was young, but I wish I had more time to talk to my grandfather how it was in the service. It was a lot of things where he didn't really want to talk about it, and I think it was because of the treatment, the way Black people were treated in the service at that time. He didn't really want to talk about it. He didn't really care about it. It's really a sad thing, Baby doll, that is correct. Originally, Black people were Republican, and then the whole party switched with LBJ and stuff like that. And I was going to bring up LBJ too later on when we talk about the $100 billion and stuff like that. But was there anything else you wanted to say on critical race theory? Because I think it'll come up once I let people on the line and stuff like
of course,
that. Yeah.
And like let other people come on, and then you chime in on it and stuff. But I'm telling you, the more we talk, the more it gets deeper, because there's so many stems to the root of the same tree of gentrification. Everything that's going on. Yeah, that happened. It happened in Brooklyn. It happens everywhere. It's
right.
And it's sad that we can't hold on to our properties, because if we hold on to it, fix our own neighborhoods up, we can benefit off of that higher tax bracket, all of that stuff. We could benefit. But they come in, they make sure they the school system is trash, or there's not too many resources in the community. Then they make sure that the community is basically destroyed. Then you come in, buy it at rock bottom prices, get the homes for $20,000 when their real value is 200 or something and higher, and they flip it, clean it up, and make a profit. That's what happened in Brooklyn.
We're gonna have to get you on the show too. She said, because of Trump, the military is more openly racist. I joined in 2002, and it's more racist now than when I joined. And I always had this thought that all military was all Republican, but someone shut that down and they told me, like, no, it's a mix, and they're not really allowed to talk about it when they're in there. That's why you get so many people that are vocal when they're out and stuff like that. So that'll be a good topic for another show. But what I wanted to do was go ahead and ask you guys who live in inner cities, or quote unquote the hood. Have you guys noticed the gentrification? Press 1 if you notice that your neighborhood or hometown has been gentrified. Press 2 if you have not seen it. Press 3 if you don't know what gentrification is at all. Because there's some people that be in between. And we're going to do a poll, and we'll be right back, y'all. Oh, actually, we're going to go ahead and get into our next topic. So I'm going to go ahead and play the video now. But remember, 1, if you have noticed the gentrification. 2, if you have not noticed it and it has not hit you. 3, if you don't even know what gentrification is, or you might not even live in an inner city or the hood.
These are the facts. Okay. They say, hey, look, you got 2 choices.
Gosh.
We're going to give you $100 billion. You go live your life, do whatever you want with it, or we can end racism forever. Would you take $100 billion or the end of racism forever?
Okay, so here's my thing. If I end racism, what does that entail? Does that mean no? But see, there's certain levels to this, right? Does it end racism in the sense that people no longer judge you by the color of your skin? People don't see that, like everybody's on the same playing field? Or does that mean that because we're now on the same playing field and racism ends racism, does racism never exist? Does that mean that there is no wealth gap?
No.
Does that mean
it's not that racism never existed?
Okay.
It's just that going forward,
racism's not. Does that mean we get reparations?
You're asking a lot of questions.
Racism is done, but that's how I think. Racism is done.
You don't get the reparations. You don't get the reparations. It's just from now forward.
How am I supposed to trust this? Knowing what we've been through as a people, how am I supposed to trust that racism is done?
This is the fates. It's good. You got to
go. Okay, so it's written. Okay.
Would you have? I
didn't racism. I didn't racism.
You'd end racism.
I didn't racism.
$100 billion or the end of racism.
Yep, because I'm thinking about the future, and I'm thinking about the kids that I want to have that will live in a world and have advantages that we didn't. I would end racism.
Okay, so here's the deal. I would end racism too, but goddamn, these niggas wouldn't be able to tell me nothing.
Nothing.
You better not.
You could take the money and do something with it.
You could take the money, but that's not as big of it. The people will always say, I would take it. I tell you what, it would almost be better for people if I took the money. Because if I pass up $100 billion to end racism,
but how are you going to be?
Remind everybody for the rest of time about that. I'm gonna remind it would feel good. I would feel good that I ended racism, but at the same time.
So you take the credit for it too. Like you would be like, yeah, I did that. But by you reminding people that you ended racism, then you have to make people think about racism.
No.
It just doesn't, like, logically, that just doesn't, I don't see how it works. So you know what? I'm going to take the money. I'm going to take the money. Because I can't see it. It logically doesn't make sense to me. I know the fates could change it, but it would have to be erased from ever existing for me to be able to so I'll take the money and I will put it into things that help the community.
Right.
I'm rich, bitch. I'm out.
Right, Wrestle Shade, you are right about that. They avoid the conversation and actually address it because at this point you hear a lot of people talk about, oh, well, I don't want my property value to go down. Like they don't want, lower income housing to come in. But everybody said one except one person. Well, 50 Shades of Bitch said 1 and 2, and she's from Chicago. Mm-hmm. But I know Mary H is from Memphis, and she said 2, like gentrification hasn't affected her. I'm going to challenge you on that. Now, I can't speak for where you live and stuff like that, because I'm not from there. But I heard that Memphis does have a black side and they have a white side. Mary H, correct me if I'm wrong, but I did. Oh, what you say, Goddess?
It sure do. It does.
Yeah.
I have a friend that lives there, and she definitely says there's one side that she don't even go into.
Okay, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
I thought so. They do. Memphis does. Okay, Teneke said Memphis does. Okay, yeah. They do. Okay, yeah. Like I said, I'm not from there, so I can't speak for the city, but I did see something where there's like a black side. Of course, the black side is all ran down shit. And then the white side had all the nice, beautiful homes and stuff like that. Hopefully, Mary H will be able to clarify that. But going into our topic now, our main topic, shout out to the Higher Learning Podcast. I got this big deal on Spotify and everything like that. Everybody making money. Van Latham was from TMZ. He famously got fired. He's dope as hell. I like him. But his production company stole that lady film. But that's the difference. allegedly, Van Latham production company stole that lady film. But anyway, and Rachel Lindsay is the first black bachelorette. We all know who she is.
Yeah.
She now I don't watch The Bachelor or anything like that. Oh, Mary H said I was referring to where I live. Oh, okay, Mary H. I thought you were from Memphis. I apologize about that. My bad. Anyway, she's from that show, so they have a podcast together, and he had asked this question. This was actually from like a month ago, and I thought this was so awesome to ask this question. Like, would you take the $100 billion or would you end racism? So I'm gonna ask you, Goddess Raven, would you take the $100 billion or would you end racism?
That's a deep, deep question to answer. I mean, 100 billion. But then, okay, to end racism, does that mean just for blacks, or does that mean end racism for everybody? That means every minority is no longer affected by racism. See that?
Well, Van said you can't ask all those questions, so I'm gonna hold you to the same standard. You can't ask all them questions.
I'd take end racism.
Ooh.
Ending racism has been tough on black folks and minorities.
Right.
It's been hard. So to end it, I think I would take it, because if you take the money and we go build another new Black Wall Street, what's gonna happen?
Right, and that's why I was looking for that comment earlier, because I know a lot of people watch Dr. Umar Johnson and stuff like that. Like, it's not that I don't like him. Like, a lot of the stuff he talk about, I'll be like, okay, I get it. And then some stuff when he go on to interracial marriage and stuff like that, and you go on that tangent, I'll be like, And then where your school at? But that's a different topic. But somebody had said, like, if we had our own black city, they would come and bomb it. A lot of people talk about when black people had their own city, their own this. If you notice, all those communities have been destroyed. Tulsa, Oklahoma, Louisiana, cities in Louisiana. There's always been a quote unquote black city that has been torn down, and then they place them back in the hood, and then they introduce liquor stores, cocaine, all the drugs in those hoods to keep them under still struggling, scratching and surviving good times, keep them like that, so we know what happens when you have an all black area, you know what I mean? So I was thinking, even though I said all that to say, I would not take the end racism. I would take the $100 billion and invest. And the reason why I would take the $100 billion is because because isn't racism supposed to be ended already? You know what I mean? So I feel like if we just say there's an end to racism, it doesn't end anything. Starfish, you're right about that. There's a church right next to a liquor store. Exactly. So I would take that money. I would invest it in. I would try to get funding from HUD to invest in low-income housing. I would also build a school, Dr. Umar Johnson, build some schools. I would also give money to schools. So then, because that's how you really change the curriculum and teach history, right? You give money to the people, and then that's how you have the influence. I would also invest my money in politicians that actually had the same ideals as me too. That would also help. Build grocery stores. Technically, yes. There's not many grocery stores in the hood. People don't even realize that. There's all liquor stores, you can't get fresh produce and stuff like that without traveling far. And what if you don't have a car, access,
But this is our fault that we don't have the grocery stores because we don't protest. The thing is, they're purposely taking it out of our neighborhood because they say it's not a good investment to put a grocery store in our neighborhood. But we spend billions of dollars yearly on everything. So we deserve a grocery store. We should demand one.
Right.
Everywhere else got one.
Exactly. And I think that's also, when people don't realize when they vote for different bills and like funding and stuff like that, like it tells you where the money is going and where the taxes is supposed to be appropriated to. You have to pay attention to that. At least in California, it tells you like, if you vote for this bill, your taxes will be raised and then this is where the money goes. Like it separates it for us. I don't know if it does that for every state.
Yeah, we do spend all
Margot brought up a good point. The end of racism doesn't mean the end of sexism, colorism, ableism, etc. Run me my money.
I feel you.
Right. You got a good point on this one.
I did.
So much Dev said you take the money and put it back into the community if you end racism, but that's not changing the mentality amongst us. We won't be better off. White people would just stop effing with us. Yes, yeah, I can definitely see that. I agree with that. And I also think that people are, it wouldn't change people's mindset. We're just saying there's an end to racism. Like for me, you'd have to end like the history of it. And then I don't know how that would work. It's too much nuance to it, So how do you feel about it now, Goddess?
Okay, here's the thing. All right, now if we took the money, wouldn't white folks stop? Wouldn't other cultures stop fucking messing with us too?
If we took the money,
yeah, because wouldn't they start not mess with us? Because I noticed there was a comment saying that if we ended racism, they still wouldn't mess with us, right?
Right.
Is that what we're saying? So if we took the money, would they mess with us still? Or would they just come to us to take our money? Because they know we're quick to hand our money over.
Right. Let me go back to the comment. Oh, here we go. You take the money and put it back into the community if you end racism, but that's not changing the mentality amongst us. We won't be better off. White people would just stop effing with us. Okay, yeah, I think that was in regards to if we just end racism, like, they wouldn't care and they wouldn't F with us anyway. So who cares about that? Take the money so we can have financial gain and power,
Okay, so if we did that, we wouldn't need them anymore, right?
Damn, Natasha.
The IRS would take our money to prison. The taxes.
Damn it, we can't even take the $100 billion now.
Oh no, I got it wrong. Then my bad. It meant mistreating us. They would stop mistreating us. Okay, now I get what you're saying.
Oh, okay. They would stop mistreating us. Okay, got it.
I would take the money. I take it back. I take the money.
Okay, you take the money. Okay, our people have been oppressed. And remember, guys, this is hypothetical, so there's no wrong answers. Our people have been oppressed and mental scars that we gave, that we have been put through. No white supremacists will find a way to mess with us. Yes.
Oh my God, let
me read some. Sorry if I'm missing some of you guys' comment. Oh. You'll never end racism. We need to end systematic problems. Ooh, I like how you put that.
That's a deep one.
H.T. Bald, yes. You have to end the systems, yeah. And that's another thing too. That's why I didn't want to end racism, because quote unquote racism is ended, but systematically, listen, I went to a private school my entire life. In uniforms, they will and we will find anything to find something different between us to discernment. Yes, that is true, because Margot was talking about internally in the community how we treat each other. Would that change anything, from colorism and stuff like that? So that's a very good point. Wendy said, as I said, not every mind is going to change the way they think. There's no end to it, period. I'll take the money. Okay,
damn,
everybody's going to take the money.
Damn, we really taking the money, huh?
Yeah, we're taking the money. Okay, well, let me go ahead and ask people again. Let's go ahead and redo the poll question. I'm going to go ahead and drop the link, and you don't have to necessarily talk about this subject. It can be any of the subjects that we talked about. I'm going to go ahead and drop the link, but we are going to do another poll. So 1, if you would take the money. 2, if you would end racism. Remember, 1, you would take the money. 2, you would decide to end racism. And we'll be right back, you guys. Yes, Kelly, that's a good one. Invest in awareness and programs. Yes. So Natasha is the only one that said 2. Natasha's serious. The IRS is going to take their money. You think? Okay, so here's the thing. If you take the $100 billion, do you think the IRS is going to make taxes more expensive for Black people? Because there has to be like a catch. They ain't going to let us have money.
Okay, so only 2 people said 2, and that's 50
Shades of Dish and Natasha, yeah.
You're right, because think about it. Every time we come up, there's always a catch to that come up. So I have a feeling, them taxes gonna be high like that. I'm telling you, property taxes gonna be high. Taxes on school, education, all kinds of things gonna go up. Medical, hospital, all kinds of stuff. Everything gonna go up in taxes.
Yes, Heidi, I need reparations. Take the money. No tax on reparations. Yes, I'm for that. No tax on reparation. There should not be any taxes on no reparation money. But I wanted to save that because I thought Yvette was going to do a whole topic on reparations. But yeah, that's a good one as well, too. I definitely agree. There should be no tax on if we get our reparations, probably never. But if we get it, there should be no taxes on it. That's money owed.
We need to push for it. There need to be somebody. We need to pay somebody to lobby for us at Washington to get those reparations. It needs to be more talk on it. If it's constantly talked about every day, and you see people protesting outside for it, everything, and get it onto the media constantly, there's a chance we can get it, because Biden's been talking about reparations too. It's good to hear somebody talk about it still.
Russell Shade, we have everything we need right within our own community. It's no shade. We built, have our own CIA, FBI, and when the lames come to attack, they will be charged with hate crimes. I do think that we can build. I do think that we can build up our own community, but because I think some people have the idea of things were along, like when in Tulsa, Oklahoma, when they dropped that bomb on that community, they think it's a long time ago. In Philadelphia, I don't think people realize this, but in Philly,
the whole neighborhood.
And it was either the late 80s or 90s, they dropped a bomb on an entire neighborhood.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that they would not drop another bomb. Like, if you guys can look it up in Philly. They dropped a bomb and it ended up like they were just trying to. It was something about drug related or something, and they were just trying to hit this one house, but it burnt down an entire section of neighborhoods and stuff like that. So I'm under the belief that it could definitely happen again.
Is that I feel like that is purposely done. Once again, I feel like they burned down Black Wall Street. They did Rosewood. They did the thing with the Philadelphia. They do this to show that, okay, if you build this, and you set up a community, we can burn it down. But now things are different. We're in 2021. We should not be living in the fear of the past. And that's what's purposely done to hold us back. Because it's a good way of training people. If you take the enemy and you take them somewhere and you torture them, and you let them go, they're going to go back and tell somebody else, look, don't go over there because I got tortured. Leave those people alone. They dangerous. They'll do this, that, and the other to you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And Natasha, Natasha said, instead of giving our money to colorist Chris Brown, designer clothes.
Lord Jesus.
You know they said Chris Brown don't want the dark skins at his table. You know that's what I just added that in, but to colorist rappers, allegedly. Let me be careful.
Well, it's allegedly, but Tokyo.
Wait, what you said, Goddess? I'm sorry.
There was a young lady who's a rapper who said that she witnessed it, and she came out and actually attacked. Made some comments and videos about it. And Chris Brown said, she said, "I dare you to deny it. I dare you to deny that this is not factual. That you said that you didn't want people that were darker in your section. That you didn't make sure you picked the lightest of the lightest to your section." And he couldn't say nothing.
Ooh.
So it has been kind of proven.
Yeah, I actually got a couple of DMs. I don't want to say who because one person is in the chat, but I actually got a couple of DMs where people said like, yeah, that's true. He don't. But anyway, I want to get distracted from that. I'm going to go ahead and let Margot come on. And Philly Kid, thank you for telling me what it was called. Move in Philadelphia. That's what it was called. All right, so welcome back to the show, Margot!
Ooh, look at you, pretty. He's so pretty.
Thank you.
I know, I'm beautiful.
Not as beautiful as you. You gorgeous. Look at that smile.
Oh my goodness, I have makeup on, girl. Don't do that.
Hey, natural is the best.
All natural.
Beauty.
Oh, yes.
Margot, what did you want to add to the show? I know we got you blushing.
Right? But Chris Brown, we all know.
What you got to say about Chris Brown?
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
I'm
under NDA. I'm under NDA. But, allegedly it's true.
Yeah.
He wouldn't want me. I did bottle service, and I wouldn't be serving bottles at his table. I did bottle service for a lot of people, but I would never be called on for Chris Brown. Trust and believe. But allegedly.
He has a type. But, I mean, you could just go by his type. From Karuchi-chan to
they all look the same.
You can see the type. It's all in the same shade category.
Yeah. And it's like, if that's what you want, like someone else is gonna pay me better, it's fine. I'm in college at the time. I didn't care. But in regards to gentrification, so I grew up in a gated community growing up, private school. And they paid in the DMV in Maryland, they paid a lot of people a decent amount of money to leave their homes. And they moved into my neighborhood from DC. And it changed the whole neighborhood. We started having I live in a neighborhood where I would wake up to my friends growing up in my kitchen. Like, oh, what's for breakfast? And then no one would care. My parents started locking the doors a lot. And even as an adult, when I got my first apartment, I did not even realize to lock my doors. It was just how I grew up. And it changed a lot of things. Do I agree with gentrification? No, because I think that if you're going to give someone my parents' home was a lot of money. If you give somebody millions of dollars to leave their home, you teach them financial education. A lot of those homes are foreclosed after a year, which then brought down the property value of my parents' house growing up. You teach them financial education. That's all it is. If you don't teach financial education, then don't do that. You're just you're effing people over, and you're now bringing down the value. I lived in a good area. I'm from PG County. I don't know if anyone here is from DMV. PG County, I see all these names nowadays. Yeah, everyone's like, you go in PG County, you know that Black-owned businesses they're successful and they will thrive. I grew up seeing Black people thrive. We were the richest Black people per capita. And it changed like in my head overnight as an adult.
Do you think deep down inside, okay, because everybody got a bit of intuition with them. Do you believe deep down inside, now looking back, that was purposely done because of how the community was?
Yes. Okay. 1,000%. Mm-hmm. PG County, we had the best public schools, the best teachers, we had the best everything. Things changed overnight. All of a sudden, things were different. And I started going to private school after I went to York Elementary School, which, I mean, y'all can Google it. I don't care. I'm not my password. Y'all be fine with that. But I started going to private school after a while. I mean, my parents were all private school kids, whatever. But I went to private school after a while. But it is, and I will take $100 billion because I went to private. I was the one Black child with my sister in an all-white school in a very affluent place. And you can say you end racism. Like I said, I wore uniforms. I had my hair pulled back. You will find anything. People will find anything. And the one thing people don't realize is it's never the children who will find something to do wrong with you. I had 8 photos on my locker. Someone asked me my dad was a drug dealer, which is why I could afford the school. Mind you, my parents had a library in the school that they built and they funded themselves.
Wow.
It doesn't matter about racism. People will find anything at all to judge you about. I was too tall. I was too this. I was too that. Anyone is too this and that. I will take the money and I will educate and I will fund and I will clean up. I would rather clean up the areas that need to be cleaned up. Period.
Right.
After gentrification. Right, we need to clean up our own areas.
See, this is why I agree with Margot. I agreed with her because I said they will always find something. Remember I said to you, 82, they will always find something to pick on.
Always.
So, and racism, there'll always be something else.
Exactly. Sexism, anything. You're at the end of the day, I'm still a woman. So who cares?
Right. Who cares?
If I'm Black or a woman, I'm still a woman. So, and racism, that's great. For y'all men, that's lit. Have fun, turn up. I'm still here with a whole ass B, and y'all still gonna pay me less than you. Like what?
Now, we respect women on the show. I wouldn't be a part of that. I'll make sure y'all get y'all coin.
You wouldn't. You pay me my full salary when you get famous, and I'm your manager / PR management, agency. It's okay. I know the deal.
Right, we already got a deal. We know.
I see you see me.
Anyway, I wanted to bring up something because I know Wrestle Shade and Brown Skin Lady had mentioned something about we think that we can create change through specifically Wrestle Shade that we can create change through politics and stuff like that. And then Brown Skin Lady said something about we think that Joe Biden is going to give us our reparations and stuff like that. I 2 things. I partially agree with both of your sentiments. I think that what happens is that when, just like with Obama, we vote for the president, and then after that we don't. We don't realize that it's important to judge for the judges, the sheriffs, your state right, the Senate. You have to vote for all those things. So you need to go back. I used to say every 2 years, but you need to go back every year because right now in California we're gonna have a recall. So Caitlyn Jenner can be our governor if we don't go out and vote. So that's a whole different topic.
Ooh, that's a whole different town hall, isn't it?
Right, a whole different town hall. But you need to vote. And I think the thing is that Black people, we kind of don't move in silence, even though we're having a town hall, an open discussion right now. We don't really move in silence. We always want to say what's going on, but it seems like other communities move more in silence when they're going to when they're moving their money around and stuff like that. They move more in silence. They don't announce it like we do. I think we are. I don't want to say we're the only race, but we're the most vocal race that talks about what we need to do and stuff like that. We don't have like a private conversation, you know, with each other. Like, hey, we're gonna go ahead and do this, and we're gonna do, you know, like we talk about it loudly.
I have 2 questions though, right?
Oh, okay.
So reparations, okay?
Mhm.
How will that be shelved out? How will you give some reparations? Listen very carefully, right? My nephews are half Black American. My brother-in-law is Black American. My sister's Ghanaian American. I know that my family has been hurt by the royal family, i.e. yours, because slavery literally happened from the English colonies, from the English country, from England. Who are we exactly asking for reparations from? America or England? Because if that's happening, who are we asking it from? Because I want some too. I'm from Ghana.
I'm sorry to tell you, but don't expect nothing from them English people because they ain't.
Don't expect anything from America either.
They'll tell you straight up, you don't want this smoke.
Exactly. But who taught America how to have their government? If not the English. Stop asking for reparations.
But in Europe, they say racism is an American problem.
That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to tell you.
It was Arthur. Someone somewhere was a white man who started to marry somebody and had me down the line. Child, who? What? Are you?
That's why England tell you, but you do not want that smoke because we don't even acknowledge certain things. You talk to America about that. And
my thing is that, but what has Americans shown anyone that they care about reparations? Every time a politician comes out and says, I will give you reparations, Black Americans are like, yes, oh my gosh, amazing. But what does that look like? A $50 check? What Canadians, the Native Canadians have stuff. They get free education. What are you exactly asking for? Money? 50 acres and a mule? I learned about that from my mom, not from school.
Right. And a mule doesn't reproduce, so that was already a setup in the beginning. But Margot, to answer your question, it would be for the ADOS is American descendants of slavery, so it would just be from us in America. So
that's
it
right.
wouldn't.
So American descendants of slavery. So let me say that my nephews, being half Ghanaian American, half Black American, do only get half of that. How does this work out?
Ooh. Well, I think like how American you are, you get like a slither. Like they probably
a slither.
I don't know how they would do it, but I figure they would have to trace back.
But everyone is so mixed up. How would it work out? Everyone is so. My thing is that stop asking for reparations. Start asking for a change. Everyone's asking for reparations and focused on that. I would rather have a $100 billion because racism is going to be there. Any kind of ism is going to be there. Start asking for something different. Y'all want to stand up for anything but stand down for nothing. Like the reparations are going to come to who? It has George W. Bush promised reparations. I was in elementary school when George W. Bush was in power. I am now a grown adult, okay? With 2 dogs. Yeah. I'm a grown 2 dogs, okay?
So what do you think?
And you know what? Going back to the whole politics and everything like that, I wanted to say.
What do you think? One thing, wait, AT, what do you think about reparations that are being given now? So there's certain states that are giving reparation in the form of education, giving free education, money for how, like purchasing their first home. What do you think of that? Because they're doing that now.
Reparations for whom? Is anyone on this track getting reparations?
No, for Black
I'm expecting reparations. I'm a first generation American. I'm not expecting to get any reparations. But for like, let's say my wife, who is 30% Black American, but she presents white because she's a white woman. Will she get 30% reparations? Even though, let's say that, God forbid, that 30% white side was a slave owner.
Ooh.
But I'm asking you, what do you feel currently about reparations being given to those who could prove?
It needs to be more. It needs to be specific. It needs to be specific. I need the education to go up. Education is the key to everything. Once you have, you're educated, no one can stop you from anything at all.
They're giving free education. They're giving free education. They're
to
giving
who?
free housing to
FAFSA?
people who that.
FAFSA. Do you owe money when you graduate? FAFSA? Who's getting
No.
free education?
There is states that are actually giving reparations in the form
What
of
states?
free
50
education.
States.
There was one that I did an article on it recently. I'll find it, but he gave free education to those that could prove they were descendants, and also he was giving it to some form of reparations to people that were Black in that state.
That's amazing. That state.
Yes.
We have 49 more to go through, though.
Sad, but it's sad that it's just that one
It's not
state.
okay. In Canada, a lot of the Native Indians, the Native Canadians get free education off the bat. 10% Native Indian, 5%, doesn't matter. You can prove enough Native Indian, you get your free education. Education is the key. And they will always keep that for any Black person.
Also, we have to be honest too. Calling it reparations, because I want to tack on to what Goddess was saying, because I like the way she was going with it. Calling it necessarily reparations, it's never going to get approved. It's never going to pass. But there are things like you don't have to exactly call it reparations for African American descendants of slavery. You don't have to call it that. Just give us what is owed. Like, for example,
but then what is owed?
More than the 10 trillion that they talk about. I'll tell you that. More than 10 trillion is owed to us. But I would say if we be honest about it, if we say, okay, you owe us this specific amount, we're not going to get it. So we have to strategize the way we want it. You can get it if there's consistency. I grew up in the DMV. My dad works for the government. I know how you can get it if there's consistency throughout your whole community. Communities are consistent. Strong communities are consistent. The Black community, for some reason, refuses to be consistent, and it irks me. I was just telling someone recently. I was literally like, I have never heard an African man talk ish about an African woman because that's how we were raised. The Black community, for some reason, lost that throughout that travel. There's a lack of consistency that you need. If you stay for the focus, what's going to stop you? It didn't stop you. It stopped Black Americans before. But I would have to challenge that, because for us, we're indoctrined in knowing that.
So was everyone else, my love. So
but it's a lot stronger here, I would say. It's a lot stronger.
Because 1951 is when Ghana stopped being colonized. 1951 is when we stopped being a colonized country.
True.
Stop thinking that's the only thing. Literally, have you ever Googled the Belgian Museum where they have children's hands and feet literally they chopped off? People have gone through things, but they have to go through If Black people worldwide would, for a second, I always say this, I said this in my speech, in my high school speech, for a second, just say, holy F, y'all treated us wrong. We're all coming together. Could you imagine the fear on everyone else's face who act us up? Could you imagine? It'd be amazing.
Right. And I do think there needs to be some kind of unity as well. You know what I mean?
But that's
I will say that. Huh?
It comes from the education of other countries and other things that people have gone through. I went to the museum.
But do you think we can ever really come together?
Yes.
That's the real question.
I think that because of the fact that our chapter is only starting with slavery in America, I first learned about Black Americans and ADOS, African descent. Yes, ADOS, yes. From school, starting with slavery. You didn't start from slavery. You came from somewhere else. And I don't like that.
We're not taught. You have to understand, we're not taught that here.
Exactly. So your reparations is education.
And that's the thing. We need the proper funding to be able to control.
That's the reparations. The goddess just said that. That's the reparations. It's education. Stop wanting money. Stop wanting things like that. Your reparations is the education, because at the end of the day, who was more fearful than a smart person, than an educated person who knows where they came from? I know where I came from. No one can tell me where I don't, who I am. I know where I come from. But I'm blessed to be a Ghanaian, South African, Ivorian woman. I am Ghanaian. I'm blessed to be that. Most people aren't. I know who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Why
I'm Caribbean,
are we not
I'm Jamaican,
funding
so
education?
You're taught certain things. Same
I'm
thing
taught
for
my culture.
Yeah, it's
Hold on,
true.
let's
Another
Reagan
thing I
go.
could say that education is key, and that's why in slavery, you were killed, you were whipped, and everything if you learned anything.
Yes.
Because education is power. That's why they always say put the knowledge and put the keys in the books because people ain't reading them.
Yep.
Right.
And I will tell you one thing.
Hold on, Margot. Let me read this because I like how Russell Shade put this. Because a lot of times, when other people were given reparations, they weren't really asked like, oh, how are you going to spend the money and stuff like that. So I agree with the sentiment. It said, thank you. And the other races of folks have gotten reparations and nobody's questioning them. Nobody's asking them how they're going about it, spending their money. Now, to that, I believe that basically they don't want to give it to us. And that's the reason why I was saying that no, what we need to have is not call it, because like we said, they don't really care about giving us reparations and stuff like that. But if they called it something different, like for example, in the rescue plan, there was money actually for people of color and black farmers to get a certain amount of money. So it's separated in the way that, necessarily they didn't call that reparations, but they realized, hey, black farmers aren't getting certain amount of funding that they should have been getting for years. So they address this specific problem. And that's what I'm saying. As long as they address specific problems, you don't have to call it reparations at the end of the day. Let's throw that term away. You don't have to call it that at the end of the day. But if you are going to address certain issues, call it banana split all you want to, or whatever. You can call it whatever you want to. But as long as you address those specific issues, I'm happy with that. And I think we can all agree on that.
Is anybody aware of the Commission to Study and Develop Reparations Proposals for African Americans Act that started in 2020?
41, or I forgot what it's called, but
so they're supposed to be the Commission shall examine slavery and discrimination in the colonies and the United States, United States from 1619 to the present, and recommend appropriate remedies as far as what should be given. Hopefully, I know nobody might like that, but I'm interested in it because, I would push for giving me education and housing where I could purchase a home. I would do home and education. Two things, because land and education is very powerful. I take those two. If those could be the remedies, I take it. I'd push for that.
I agree. But I need everyone to also take a second to understand that there are a lot of, it says Americas and the colonies. I'm considered a colony. My country is.
That's what I'm saying.
A lot of the colonies, are still paying taxes to a lot of their countries.
Right.
So for you to go with that bill and for you to go forward with that, it would take a conglomerative effort of the colonies and the Americas, of the Black people, to genuinely say, hold on, we've been through some ish. We've all been through some ish. Give me a second. We'll figure this out together, right? But for that to happen, we'd have to actually be educated enough to understand that.
And this is what it's attacking, because the commission, it says, is going from federal to state government in supporting
by the time we get to state,
the forms of discrimination in public and private sector against free slaves and the descendants, and the lingering negative effects of slavery on living African Americans in society in today. Yeah. So that's a very broad thing that they are trying to attack and come up with solutions to. Give me the education.
And Margot, I understand where you're coming from as far as the broader prospect, because it's all like, well, yeah,
broader prospect. It's all it is, though. It really, when Africans came together, it literally changed everything. There's so many people's fighting fighting for the Francophones, which are the French countries who still pay taxes, who are Anglophones, who I am. They're fighting for their brothers and sisters. If the Black American people, the ascendants of slaves, do not understand that they are one people who are connected to everyone else, what are you fighting for? In 50 years, they'll flip it back again.
But that is the problem in itself, because we think we own people, but everybody else take them as something different, and that is where the problem going always.
But the problem is the lack of education. Forget reparations. They're willing to shove out money to you.
No. We can't forget reparations.
No, they're willing to shove out money to you instead of education.
We still want our money. Let's not say forget. Remember, I said we call it.
Would you rather have a free education, a good credit score coming out of college?
We're not going to say no.
Would you rather have a free education and a good credit score coming out of college? You can buy any house you want. You can start anything you want to do. Or would you rather have $1,000 because the government was like, here's reparations? That's what they're going to do.
Well, no, because I want the proper funding and I want the money too.
So does everyone's great.
I think you're thinking like, oh, if we just get, a house or we get education, we'll be able to. No, I agree with all that. I'm not saying that no, but we still need a check monthly.
Monthly? We almost died from Corona. We all almost died. And they was like, y'all can die. Wear a mask, bitch.
Chelsea said, unfortunately, with white male supremacy in the government, reparations won't fully happen. We need to change our history in the school books for a complete understanding and the older generation to die off. I think the problem with that, because I know it has been a lot of things that, the older generation would die off, but I think also they reproduce. That's the problem.
82. Do you see us as a cousin? Do you see us as cousins?
Do I see? Yeah, we call each other family.
No. I'm saying, you think that everybody see us as cousins and family? Because you're South African, right? So for me, I would consider her definitely family, because I'm from Jamaica, and people in Jamaica were Africans brought to Jamaica. Yeah, and Indian. But
I'm Guinean, not South African. Sorry. I'm Guinean.
Yeah, Ghana.
I'm South African, but I'm matrilineal, so it goes to the mother's line, so I'm Guinean.
Yeah. Oh, wow. You really are?
Yeah. I am Guinean. I'm 100. I mean, not 100, but I'm enough Guinean to where it counts.
Dang. But I would still consider you family, though.
All y'all family. All y'all family. I didn't
still consider family.
All y'all family.
Yeah.
I'm born in Maryland.
I don't know. I see my difference. Like American Black, I guess, see differences.
But there is a difference.
Oh,
I was
in
raised,
education. Education.
No. I was raised to know there was a difference, and also people who were Black American told me there was a difference before I even realized it. African.
You just said what I just said,
and I was like, "Girl, we all African at the end of the day, right?"
If you're raised and told differently, that is a form of education. That person is educating you on something, so you were told differently.
I was, and my friends nowadays ask me about stuff, and there was the great return to Ghana, and a bunch of my friends in my mom's house. I wanted that, but there's one thing that I want people to understand: when people expect reparations, when you want a reparation from the American government or from the people who rule you, I want you all to go to Ghana. My dad's a Fanti man. There's a room full of rocks, and they close the door, and they used to suffocate slaves. It's at the Fanti Castle in Cape Coast. My mom took me there the first day I went. The third day I went to Ghana. She said, "We're Black. We're Ashanti women. Your dad's a Fanti. We were lucky enough not to be taken because we have come from a good family. This could have been your fate." And I do have family members who were kidnapped during that time, and we know their names, who we don't even know what happened to them. They could have died. People are expecting reparation, people who would rather lock you in a room just let you suffocate. You're expecting things from people who don't care enough to let you breathe. Forget that. I'm telling my grandfather, one of my grandfathers, but I come from a family who doesn't care. You get what you want when you need to have it. at this point, people are dying by the hands of police, and people want reparations. Don't even care if you die, but you had to have a trial to see if someone died on fairly. It's not
Hold on, I'm gonna correct you on that because Margot, we can care about it all.
You can care about it all, but
I
at
always hear
the
people
same
say
time,
like, "Oh, well, we need to care about this.
Care.
We need to do this. We can care about
I
everything."
think you can care about it all.
There's no. Oh, you cannot care about this.
I fully believe it. But what do you expect from the government who doesn't care? But what do you expect from someone who doesn't care? I believe you can care about it all. I'm the person who's like, you can care about this. I can care about T.I. and Tiny. I can care about George. I can care about everything. But what do you expect from a government who doesn't care about one thing in particular? What do you expect? Reparations?
Right.
Or will you get it for yourself and figure out a way to get it for yourself?
Both. No,
right?
Both. But no, Margot, I appreciate you for open up this conversation because shit, we wasn't even gonna get into the reparations, but we got into it. But no, I appreciate you bringing it up because it does give a different outlook, and somebody who is African Ghanaian, you know, it gives us a different perspective because we don't think about like, oh well, what about this? You know, because you have a different lived-in experience than I do. And then also, Goddess, were you born in the Caribbean or?
No. And I'm just, you know, I was so fascinated by Ghana and everything that she was talking about. I was reading the connection between Jamaica and Ghana right now.
Yeah, Ghana has a very deep connection.
It's very deep. It's very dang deep. Even some of the words that we use is from
in the names.
Yeah. So I was just reading that. So no, my family, I'm first generation. So
okay, I am too. I am too as well. I was born in Maryland, first generation, just the same as you. Yeah. It's different. It's a lot different. You see things differently, and it's not a bad thing, but it's hard to explain.
But I get what you're saying though.
Yeah. And it's hard to explain to people that like you're also Black, I'm also African, I'm Ghanaian. Yeah. But people are like, so like I'm like, if people can be Czechoslovak.
Oh, what happened?
I tell you one thing, I feel very comfortable with her. And I realize why, because the connection between Jamaica and people from Ghana is very deep. It's a lot of roots of Jamaica and Ghana connected. So I was just reading about that and I was like blown away. I was like,
okay.
Dang.
I'm gonna just let her down just in case something was going on.
Aww. Okay.
But whatchamacallit? No, that was a very good conversation. And like you were saying, like there is so many connections and stuff we don't know. And like I was saying, like we're not really taught that history, you know? So there's a lot we don't know about, you know? I guess somebody else wanted to come on. So
but that's crazy for us. We're taught that though. That's why
you were actually taught that.
Right. You were taught that from young, little. Yeah, by the time we're 5, we know something.
Right. And let me say, it's not that I'm saying you're not taught anything in school. It's just that mostly all the Black history that you know is you teach yourself or you learn it outside of school. The education system has failed us in that way where we don't know. And that's why the whole critical race theory is very important to figure out why there's not money being put into these neighborhoods, to figure out why you know, there is so many laws put into place that still don't give African Americans the privilege. Excuse me. I almost threw up like Dookie Mouth. The privileges. The privileges and things that we need, you know. There's still so much that needs to be done. There's so much that needs to be addressed, you know. It's a step by step. And like I was saying, you don't have to call it reparations for me. You can call it banana split. Either way, I'm still going to eat it. You can call it whatever you want to, as long as you do and address certain issues. I'm completely fine with that. And I think we can all agree on that. Before we wrap up, let me ask.
Make sure you say pause when you say that, because somebody gonna take that sound bite and be no matter what, I'm still gonna eat it. So then you just say pause.
Yeah, exactly. I was hoping Deidre would get on and tell us about Chicago, but I guess she ain't gonna get on. Because that's 50 Shades of Bish. I don't think she's still here though. That's her name, by the way. I'm not calling her a bitch.
I wish you would have told me that. My best friend's from Chicago, and she's Irish. And she's in her family's, well, she's not in Chicago, but her family's still in Chicago. And they're in an area that's predominantly, it's mostly black. I think they might be the only white family in their neighborhood. So, yeah,
wow.
And a lot of changes has happened in that neighborhood for her. So, dang, I wish I'd have known. I would have had her, come by, because she could tell you a whole lot of stuff of gentrification and situations going there in Chicago.
Right.
She goes back all the time. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Jason said, what nobody is talking about is the value of money that goes up. Henry Ford's $250,000 is worth millions in today's money. I would hate these stupid young bag. Wait.
Young bag racers.
Wait, hold on, Jason. That ain't that kind of show. We all supposed to come together. But Jason, back in that time with Ford, you would need to have that kind of money to let that grow. Mm-hmm. And if your neighborhoods are being destroyed, then you might not have that. And a lot of homeowners do not have the same homes that they had in the 1920s and stuff like that. I know my grandparents, we don't have that home anymore that my grandparents used to own. We don't have that. It was paid. It was sold. Luckily, it wasn't a thing where it was foreclosed or anything. It was sold, but we don't have that home and stuff like that. And the generational gap as well too, as money has been passed on. As Black people, we are still playing catch up, basically. Mm-hmm.
I'm happy that I can see it in my family that there is generational wealth coming. That's going on. My uncle has passed away, and he left businesses and properties and stuff in Brooklyn from his sons and his wife. So the grandkids. So there will always be something in the family to keep passing on. So for us, a lot of us own homes in New York, so it will be able to pass down, and we'll have that. And businesses and stuff.
Right.
But it needs to be more of that, not just a few people. It needs to be way more than that. It's sad.
Right.
Lenders deny 80% of Black people mortgage loans. That is true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
right. So it's a lot, and they always say a foreigner is able to get a loan more than we would be able to get a loan. That's the thing. I don't have the actual statistic, but I did hear that as well too. Let me read this one. Henry Ford hated Black people and believed in Hitler's views. Henry Ford stole from Black people. Oh,
yeah, but
I do know about that.
Who didn't steal? And even if
now Danielle here. See, all the Chicago people want to come at the end of the show. Goddess, you got about 12 minutes?
Who? I got all the time in the world, baby.
Okay.
All the time.
Danielle, we need you to come on and talk about Chicago. What you think about Lori Lightfoot?
Oh, Lord. She's going to have
an opinion. Just put it in the comments what you think about Lori Lightfoot. She says she only wants people of color to interview her and have a one-on-one. We agreed on it on the show. We thought that was good,
Oh, Danielle laughing. I see the laughing emojis. Ooh, that picture is rough. She said, I'm coming
y'all
on.
Better stop laughing at my auntie. Y'all better stop laughing at her. Y'all, Margot, not about to raise my price.
Ooh.
She not here anymore, though. I think she got a phone call because your phone will freeze when you get a phone call.
Yeah.
Yes, that's Red Hot, that is a female.
Okay, somebody drop the link because Danielle wants to come up and discuss.
Okay, there we go.
Lord Jesus, can you take that picture down, Lord?
Okay.
That picture rough. That woman ain't got no hairline, Lord. Somebody give her a wig.
Y'all want me to put it on?
Lord. Oh,
You know what? I was gonna say like I should find a better picture, but that's how she looked. Like I
There
wasn't
is
trying to
no
be
better
shady with that
picture.
picture because a lot of y'all think I was trying to be shady and stuff like that. But that's how that lady looked. Okay, we just waiting on Danielle. Well, while we wait for her, I'm gonna go ahead and play the clip from earlier for you guys just tuning in. I know some of y'all came in late, but this is the clip.
These are the fates. Okay. They say, hey, look, you got two choices.
Gosh.
We're going to give you $100 billion. You go live your life, do whatever you want with it. Or we can end racism forever. Would you take $100 billion or the end of racism forever?
Okay, so here's my thing. If I end racism, what does that entail? Does that mean no? But see, there's certain levels to this, right? Does it end racism in the sense that people no longer judge you by the color of your skin? People don't see that, like everybody's on the same playing field? Or does that mean that because we're now on the same playing field and racism ends racism, did racism never exist? Does that mean that there is no wealth gap?
No.
Does that mean
it's not that racism never existed?
Okay.
It's just that going forward,
racism's done. Does that mean we get reparations?
You're asking a lot of questions.
Racism is done, but that's how I think. Racism is done.
You don't get the reparations. You don't get the reparations. It's just from now forward.
How am I supposed to trust this? Knowing what we've been through as a people, how am I supposed to trust that racism is done?
This is the fates. It's good. You got to go
so it's written. Okay.
Would you have? I didn't
racism. I didn't racism.
You'd end racism.
I didn't racism.
$100 billion or the end of racism.
Yep, because I'm thinking about the future and I'm thinking about the kids that I want to have that will live in a world and have advantages that we didn't. I would end racism.
Okay, so here's the deal. I would end racism too, but goddamn, these niggas wouldn't be able to tell me nothing.
Nothing.
You better not.
Or you could take the money and do something with it.
You could take the money, but that's not as big of it. The people will always say, people say I would take it. I tell you what, it would almost be better for people if I took the money. Because if I pass up $100 billion to end racism,
but how are you going to be?
Remind everybody for the rest of time about that. I'm gonna remind it would feel good. I would feel good that I ended racism, but at the same time.
So you take the credit for it too. Like you would be like, yeah, I did that. But by you reminding people that you ended racism, then you have to make people think about racism.
No.
It just doesn't, like, logically, that just doesn't, I don't see how it works. So you know what? I'm going to take the money. I'm going to take the money. Because I can't see it. It logically doesn't make sense to me. I know the fates could change it, but it would have to be erased from ever existing for me to be able to so I'll take the money and I will put it into things that help the community.
Right.
I'm rich, bitch. I'm out.
Everybody get along in the chat. See, this is a good example of, look, if we were trying to build a new
Black people can't come together
Rosewood,
because y'all niggas don't know how to act and shit.
Up and aggressive y'all is. You see, by the time we got the wood for the place, it'd be so much infighting, we wouldn't even get one building built. Not even a damn weave shop would be built.
Yo, it's so funny because I was listening to like the clip, like I haven't heard it yet, and then I was having to look in the chat, and I was like, "Wait, hold on."
That's why you see me wrote. That's why you saw me write. Everybody get along now. Now chill out now. Jeez.
I don't want to ruin the show, so I'm gonna just. It's not that I'm ignoring it. Like I said, we all need to get along, and we all can respect each other's opinions. You know, at the end of the day, this chat is for everybody. For everybody. Like we all our opinions are valid. Let me go ahead and let Danielle on. Danielle, you there?
I'm there. I'm here. I had to come off the camera. I'm about to get my hair cut, so I got.
Okay.
I'm out here like a blood.
Ask you real quick, because we're not gonna grill you about Chicago and stuff like that, but I wanted to know.
Please grill me on my city. It's my city.
But I wanted to just ask you a few questions. So, like I said, with Lori Lightfoot, the problem started before her, and it's going to be here after her at the end of the day. But she specifically said that she wanted to only have people of color have one-on-one interviews with her because she said there's a problem with the City Hall press corps where it's all white but only 45% of the city is white, and then the rest are people of color. So she was saying she want more representation, but she's saying that, but the critics are saying she basically just wants to avoid the questions, regarding crime, education, and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So, what are your thoughts on that? And then I'll ask you another one.
Well, that's 100% true because all of them are going to do that. I mean, I have lived through Harold Washington, Daley, Emmanuel, and now Lori Lightfoot, and so you're going to take all the flack. And then not only are you an African American mayor in Crook County, you are part of the LGBT community. So you have all these things that are not going to have anything to do with anything. So here's my thing. I'm not Team Lori. I'm not Team Lori. It's just like the Cubs to me. Can't stand them, but they in my city. So I got to respect them. I can't let you disrespect them.
Right.
But to run Chicago, you got to be a boss. You got to be a little crooked. You got to be hella gangster. You have to kowtow with people you don't want to. I mean, Chicago, our streets are named after killers. You better know that. So people always say like Martin Luther King Drive is a place where people always die, Black people mainly. It's always a bad neighborhood. But I live in Chicago where we got streets like Cicero and all this stuff. This is by the mob. So
yeah, Cicero,
this is Al Capone City. This is Al Capone City, so it's all gangster.
Right. So, now that's a fact. I didn't know that. Like, it's actually named after killers and stuff, like mobsters and stuff like that.
Oh, our streets, these places, these neighborhoods, real bosses done ran through here. And to be from Chicago, you gotta respect it, even if they hated your race.
Wow.
So that's why Martin Luther King came here years ago and said that we were more segregated than the South. Because people knew where you were. We have a Little Italy. We have a neighborhood for Hispanics, a neighborhood for Blacks, a neighborhood for whites, a neighborhood for poor whites, a neighborhood for rich, a neighborhood for the Jewish. We have a neighborhood for everyone. So people stay in their place.
Danielle, I got a question. Did you watch the I don't know if you like Chris Rock, but have you ever watched Fargo?
I love him.
When they did the whole series on Fargo with Chicago and Black, who had they had their own, gambling, booking, and everything, and it became taken over eventually by Italians and stuff, and the mob and everything.
Of course.
Did you watch it? And was that accurate?
I didn't watch that. Sometimes it's hard for me to watch things that come out about my city unless it truly comes from someone from it, because I know that Hollywood's going to have you shut things down. See, Chicago is a don't talk city. So you really wouldn't come from Chicago and come out and say everything. Because this is like I said, this is Al Capone City. So no matter what race you are, you live under some of those codes, whether you want to or not.
Well, this was what it was about. That was what it talked about in that series that they did with Chris Rock. It was talking about that and the Black people's place in Chicago at the time when the mobsters were there and how they fought back at one point.
I'm gonna let Deidre on.
I'm interested in watching.
I think you should. I would love to hear your opinion after you watch it. Seriously,
because I want to say something before I watch it. I right now live in Cicero. And Cicero is surrounded by like Oak Park, Chicago, River Forest Park, Maywood, just surrounded. But anyway, I live in Cicero. And when I was young and we moved out here from the south side to Oak Park, Cicero was next to us, but we couldn't even come in Cicero. Yeah. I was just telling my son today that I had friends who the police would beat you. I mean, Betty Maltese was the mayor of Cicero when I was a teenager, and she had a whole club that right now is a restaurant, a little members only. And I remember one day one of my friends knocked on the door to see what would happen. And they came and stood out in suits and they were shaking down all of Roosevelt. So this is a real mob city,
Wow. And Deidre, can you speak to that too?
Yeah, she's absolutely right. I was born and raised on the west side of Chicago. And Cicero is literally the neighboring city, Cicero, Oak Park, just like she said. And Chicago ain't like other cities and other states and stuff. It's not like that. And like she said, it was so racially divided. Like, them people didn't play that. They did not.
Wow.
Sorry,
did
of course
people
my
deal
phone
with
is
that?
ringing because we're on here.
Okay, Deidre, Danielle, how did people deal with that for so long?
I think, I'm sorry. I think, unfortunately, it's just like slavery. When you deal with it for so long, when you've been through it for so long, you just deal with it.
So you've
And
been
then
conditioned. It's like you get conditioned.
It becomes the everyday. You just deal with it. But then you
If you
have
don't know any better, you know.
exactly. But then you have some people who get out of it, so to speak. But technically, you just really going from one fire to the next. Because fortunately, in 2000, I left the West Side and I moved to the southern suburbs, the South suburbs. Now, in the early to mid 2000s, that's when they was tearing down Cabrini Green. So what I did know is that everybody
Gentrification at its finest.
ma'am.
There was many
Let me
projects
tell you
turned
something.
down. Tear them.
I lived on Maypole and Kilbourne. I'm from K-Town. I live.
Hey, you know what? I gotta turn my camera on for a minute. I kid you not, I'm sitting here looking at your face. I moved through this whole city. I'm like, where you be at out west? I said, you kind of look like a Maypole somewhere in this area type. And look, I'm 41. So I know my city.
Yes.
That's why I tell people, don't come around. I know my city. Like I am definitely to the west side, from Holy City to the Ave, DIV, the south side from Inglewood. I stop at the 100s.
Okay. Yeah, you look very familiar. Yes.
Deidre, what were you saying? You were making a point. Hold on, because now I hope she ain't forget the point you were trying to make.
Sorry, my phone keeps ringing. I'm so
sorry.
It's okay. Girl, you know Westside, we gotta unite. That's what we do.
Right, that's right.
We could be in LA.
That's right.
We both from the hood, from Westside, from Chicago. Oh, we unite. It's me and you against the world from that point on. But
that's right, all day.
Yeah, but what I was saying was, they tore down the project. One of the biggest, not most dangerous, but a lot of people think it was the most dangerous. I think the Ickies was the most dangerous one, but they started to migrate towards the south suburbs. Well, back in the day, the south suburbs was the shit for Black people. But what we as Chicagoans didn't realize is that, and I remember as a little kid, my next door neighbor, my mother's best friend's husband, he said, in about 50 years, you got all of us on the west side, the white people gonna come in and push us out because they out in the suburbs and they too far away from their jobs downtown Chicago. He said they gonna come back. He said they're going to totally redevelop these neighborhoods and they're going to push us out to the suburbs. And baby, let me tell you, we got people in the suburbs now that you would, I walked through, I always lived Harvey when I first came out there, which is the hood of the south suburbs. Then I went to
definitely a hood.
Hills, then Flossmoor, then Madison. So I stayed in the better ones. But you go to Ballantrae right now where the $1 million houses at. You got dreads and sagging pants walking up and down the street. And it's like, how in the hell did y'all get out here?
How? Now, you know what? I have to say something on what you said about the 2000s and what was going on. Now, in 2000, it's probably 2000, I went to Malcolm X. I had a teacher named Mr. Knight. And Mr. Knight taught Black history and different histories. And so in that class, he spoke of how Daley's father had wrote a book that Hoover wrote the whole script for the Gangster Disciples, you know, their whole book, their laws, their rules off of this man's book. And I said, man, he was a gangster. But also in there was that 10-point plan. And in that 10-point plan, it would be to surround the city with nothing but them.
That's right.
Whoever that them is.
Yes.
And it would be to put us back out to see if you know, Central and Lake is hood right now. Yeah. But once upon a time, it wasn't no Black people.
That's right. That's right.
That was their neighborhood.
Let me tell you something.
Inglewood, their neighborhood. Woodline, their neighborhood.
My
Wow.
aunt still lives on the west side right now. My aunt's still on Maypole and Carlisle. My sister on Cicero and Laverne.
I was just on Carlisle and Adams yesterday. I'm over there all the time. My auntie right there around the corner.
Yes.
Like I said, I moved this city.
Girl.
Sometimes I can't come on live because I'm real to this
That's
city.
right.
I'm not
That's
in
right.
trouble, but I'm real to the city.
I went on the west side. I don't go on the west side a lot no more because when you get to be suburban, you get crazy and you don't want to leave the suburb. Girl, it's a shame. But I went on the west side. I think I was on, we was on Levitt or somewhere over there. I saw a dog park. And I'm like, what the hell? A dog park?
She said she's going to dog park.
Girl, the white people was walking I got to stand up and my legs hurt. The white people was walking their dogs. They was just skipping with the Starbucks cups. And I'm like, what the fuck? This is the west side. But
it's just like Cabrini Green. My mother from Cabrini Green in the 50s. And she said how sometimes they would just want to go over because it was still that the richest neighborhood in Chicago is over there by Cabrini.
That's right.
So if you know about your landmarks, so it was always close. So they always wanted that area. But what I loved about Cabrini Green, not just because my mama from there, and that's my love for the projects, period, is these were cities within a city.
Exactly.
These were communities built on a foundation of trust of your neighbor.
Come on now.
Everything, little store in there.
You had everything within yourself. And see, the community wouldn't give you anything. No movie theater, no real grocery store, and you still made it. You had a corner store that had a little bitty deli that had chicken wings and hamburger.
Come on, girl.
The deli.
See, I'm all about my real community. So.
That's right. She is 1,000% right.
So, question for you.
And look at Cabrini Green now. You go over there and you like, I used to buy weed right here for years, and now I don't even feel like I belong over here.
It was there was no euphoria for me. You know how sometimes when you riding up and down Madison, going towards Laramie, the first thing you're thinking about is the music. What was it? Was it Sam's Music Club? What was it?
See, you going back to Chateau days and stuff when the club's on the corner.
Nothing.
But see, back in the day, even on the west side and the south side, you also had the streets taking care of the streets. So you had Wallace's. He came from the streets and then he made himself something. You had the McNeils. You had real people from the bottom, 10 toes down.
Everybody
saving your community, putting structure in your land, and they broke our structure and we turned on each other.
Yes.
And the moment we turned on each other, it was over.
I got a question.
And that's what happens a lot.
Danielle, I got a question because I know this might be a little off topic, but I don't know if you know anything about Detroit. If any of y'all know anything about Detroit, but
I know D-City.
I just want to know: do you think Detroit could be the new Black Wall Street? Because no. I say that because their property is cheap at this point. It's easy to be bought. It's majority Black people in the community. All they need is some resources, some businesses in place to come in, fix up the education system, people with some type of money to come in and help. Could it not be? Because there's plenty of land, homes vacant.
It could be because also what it would do is there's a place crying for it. See, we still have parts of Detroit that still have bad water. Michigan, excuse me. We still have parts of Michigan with bad water.
Yes.
We still have parts of Michigan with bad water. We still have parts of Michigan where the poverty is so bad that you wouldn't believe I'm in America. So they are crying for a resource. And so if we can build it, and I hate to say it, Big Meech and them come from Detroit. And so if we can build in a right way, though, see, it's just like now we have dispensaries and stuff, and Michigan is an open state, so you can build back. I'm all about the build up.
Yeah. Right.
You say and Danielle, what do you say?
The only reason
Deidre, what do you say? Do you think
the only reason why I said no is because I feel like Black Wall Street can be anywhere if we just unite. The whole thing is about uniting. You can't have 3 people that want to do something, but you got 1 million that ain't trying to do nothing other than get ahead on their own. That was
I understand what you're saying, that it could be anywhere, but I'm talking about Detroit has so much property and so much that you could have almost a city, a city of your own.
And I
You
understand
don't
that,
need a
but you
block
got
or two in another
But they
state.
need, but they
Detroit
need the
more than
resources,
Chicago.
because a lot of the reason why the property value is down because the city is run down and there's no jobs and stuff like that. So that's a lot of the reason
Right.
why.
So you have to build it up.
Right.
Chicago has resources that they won't let us get.
Exactly.
They have land we can buy. So, for example, did you know that some of the wealthiest Black women in America live in Mississippi? In towns you probably know, Jackson and that place, because
I
they
didn't know
took
this.
something where it was not there and they brought it there. And that builds revenue.
That's right.
You see, and look at this.
That
Natasha
builds
saying
revenue.
Detroit is being gentrified by white people. So see, that's what I'm saying. It's sad because that should be y'all.
Right, and they're gonna
That should
buy
be
it
Black
out.
people doing that. That should be the minorities there doing that.
Yeah.
Right.
But you
And
gotta
this is the problem, what's going on, and this is the gentrification. But I'm gonna go ahead and end it here because we almost at the 2-hour mark. I just wanted to say,
Damn, this
Danielle,
thing
you said
got
you don't
deep.
like people talking about your city, even though it got big problems. You don't want people talking about your city.
That's why I
But
changed
can
the
you
topic
tell us
on
something
there.
positive
That
about?
C is for California and Chicago,
Right,
though.
exactly. We got the Cali connection.
And I bumped Houston. I messed with Texas. I messed with all of Texas. I bumped Houston. I love Atlanta. I'm down for Detroit. I swing through Missouri. I'm up in Mississippi.
Kalamazoo.
This is my country.
Hey, she get around. That's what she said, basically. But no, tell us something positive about the city of Chicago that we might not know. I want to end it on a positive, even though the whole show was positive. But I want to end it on a positive note because they love to tear down Chicago. So tell us something positive that we don't know, and then I'm gonna go to D.
That we have some of the hardest loving people you ever gonna meet.
She took it.
We live in a city where we fighting for our sons every day, but I'll fight for yours too. It's realer than you can get. It's embedded in us. We bleed this thing for real. If you can make it in Chicago, and there's a couple other places, if you can make it in Chicago, you can make it anywhere. Anywhere.
She took it.
That's a good one, Danielle. That's a good one.
That's
She
right.
took it, Deidre?
She took it because that's exactly what.
What about the pizza? Can you tell us about the pizza?
Pizza, chicken.
They got shut down.
Any restaurant in the hood got some good ones. I send shout out to hood restaurants from Inglewood all the way to the west side. Like good food. It come from the heart. These people come from love.
That's right.
We not that bad. We a great place. That's why you gonna always have Chicago up in your place because we always gonna.
That's
right.
82. Thank you. This was beautiful, and it ended on a peaceful, happy note with beautiful Black women up here smiling.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about.
You know,
keep it positive, keep it cute, and keep it sexy.
Thank you. That's what I want.
Deidre, what was you saying?
Bye, guys. Good night.
I want to.
Hey to everybody in the chat. Love you,
baby. And that's what I wanted to say really fast. Look, we are adults. We can agree to disagree. You can't close nobody's mouth and make them not say what's in their minds. So what you're supposed to do is agree to disagree and move on.
And we keep it cute.
It got to be nothing crazy. And just keep it cute and keep it moving.
That's right. Keep it cute as you keep your leg up and elevate it.
Yeah. And oh, Dom said the downtown is the best. Do you know anything about downtown?
Downtown Chicago is awesome if they stop robbing every damn body. But yes, it's
damn.
Did you just say robbing everybody?
Go to Oakbrook. Oakbrook, Downers Grove is beautiful if you can deal with the people, but it's beautiful. But downtown is it's bomb. Ain't nothing like on a hot summer day. Go downtown to the beach, hang out at the lake. The beach and the lakefront is the same thing. Go hang out.
They got a beach?
Yeah.
What?
Chicago is, yes, we got nothing.
Yeah, I didn't know that until a few months when Deidre told me.
Margaret said Chicago hot dogs, don't catch up. Got some good food.
Baby. Yes.
Dang, I didn't know. You see, this is what I want to hear about. I want to hear that.
Let me tell y'all, the best thing in the world is to go to 63rd Street Beach. You're going to have the African guys out there with the bongos, the Jamaican guys out there selling the bomb weed. You got
hey, I'm there. You said Jamaican?
Yes, you got everybody out there. I know, no disrespect. You got everybody out there barbecuing. Okay. And everybody just chilling, laughing, having a good time until they start shooting. But I'm just saying.
Oh, heck.
You gotta know when you gotta know when to go.
Right. Oh, and Dom said the Navy Pier too.
Navy Pier is good too. Yes, Navy Pier is nice.
That's
downtown.
82 was very good. I've learned so much. I learned about Chi-Town. I learned about
And Deidre, I want to say thank you for coming on, and also Danielle, Margot, and of course the Goddess Raven for being my co-host for today's town hall. Like, because we had so many different conversations, and like you said, we can all agree to disagree. And this is the thing: we have to have the tough, uncomfortable conversations to move the conversation forward. This is one of the particular reasons why I didn't want to have this conversation during Black History Month, because we talk about it Black History Month and then we not black for the rest of the year. And it's important to have these town halls throughout the year, because we black 365 or however, a leap year, whatever, you know. So I thought it was very important. So I want to thank you, Dee, for coming on. Like, I really appreciate it.
Danielle, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Deidre, it was really great because I see you up here a few times, and it's good to meet you. And I'm really happy to, and I'm glad this was great. I mean,
we love you too, Margo.
So much information, it ain't even funny. Thank you.
We love you, Margo. We good.
Right.
Oh, Deidre, I like that.
Of course.
Yeah, like there's no real issue. You know, it's going to get heated because, you know, when you talk about the Black community in general, like, it's going to get heated. And the thing is that I love about the town hall, that it shows that Black people don't all think the same. We are all different, but that's what makes us unique. And that's what makes us so beautiful, is that we all have different perspectives on life. And I just love all of y'all. I love everybody in the chat, but I love all of y'all, you know. Like, thank you guys for really rocking with us today. Dee, I definitely want to have you back on for another town hall where we just specifically talk about Chicago. Hopefully, Danielle.
I'll be in the background.
We have Dom on here.
I want to learn more. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'll just have Raven here just listening the whole time. Yeah, and then we might move on to different cities. I know somebody had mentioned Brooklyn as well, how you know their wig shop had got shut down and everything. So definitely we can talk about the next topic. Probably will be Chicago and gentrification. But thank you guys for checking out the show. I love y'all. Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And y'all see it scrolling down. Help me with my reparations. Go ahead and drop $1. And make sure you guys check out the Goddess Raven show, and also Deidre Daslin. She go live Wednesdays. Friday night is for members only. And then the Saturday. So make sure you guys check her out. And then Goddess Raven goes live whenever she go live. Y'all gonna be there for 7 hours. She love to talk. It be long. Like, you gonna have to basically you click on it. You take a nap, wake up, it's still on. Eat some breakfast, it's still on. Lunch and dinner is still on. But Goddess, I ain't gonna hold you because Deidre long-winded too. She started out with a story and it turned into 10 different stories. You feel like, damn.
That's what, like, I didn't know she had a channel. If you ain't say nothing, I didn't know she had a channel. Now I know.
Yes,
to subscribe to her channel and tune in, because I like a long-winded person that talks.
Yeah, I'm coming over
to all the little details.
I'm looking for you guys. I'm finna look for
okay.
Get
But yes, thank you guys for checking out the show. Love y'all. Deuces.
Bye, y'all.
We out.